Well, here goes something. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Ooh, I'm looking pale today. Oh, my goodness. How are you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Deanna, and I'm streaming out of Humboldt County, about Humboldt County to Humboldt County, and anyone else who cares. And we are going through a study here called the 5,000 Year Leap. It's not the making of America. I had that wrong the first few days. Oh my gosh. I'm a little out of sorts. I don't feel super great, but I want to get through this because I worked really hard on it and I want to share it with you guys. Too bad I look like a ghost today, huh? Girl, get some color in your face. Oh man, all right. I want to get started right away and just get through this. We are going through, today we're going through the second principle of our Constitution, remaining virtuous and morally strong. I'm really excited to talk about this issue. Had a lot of pushback on this issue from patriots themselves, which is very frustrating. You know, it's so exciting when you meet a godly patriot because you know you don't have to sit there and deal with their mockings. You know, I'm really sick of people mocking my God. Yeah, especially patriots. They just love to poke. Why are you poking at our foundation? Why are you poking at ancient principles? It's silly. It's because you're ignorant and you haven't studied how imperative they are to having a lawful running society. So we're going to hear about that today. I thought I uploaded all these quiz questions and then I realized or at least took the pictures of them. And I didn't. So you got the quiz answers for today. We're going to review. Friday's lesson was about natural law and we learned about Marcus Tullius Cicero. So that's what we're supposed to do, is just review our last lesson. So that's what I'm going to do. These are churning out to be like 45 minutes to an hour, and there's nothing I can do about it. That's just the way it's going to be. If you want to take them in smaller doses, feel free. But I need to get all this done as I get it done. Now, where'd the quiz go? I know I put it in here. I must put it in the wrong thing. I must put it in the wrong thing. I must have put it down here. Where'd you go? Or maybe I didn't save it. Because I put a couple things here. Where did you go? Where did you go? Maybe I just didn't publish it. So I was pretty sure that I uploaded it. Okay, so where is that quiz? Let's refresh it. Where is that quiz? Number 2 about natural law. Should be down here. There it is. Okay, let's blow it up. So I guess I didn't get to take the photos of it before I filled out the answers for you. So congratulations, you have the answers today. Okay, so we're reviewing the lesson from Friday, and then we'll get into today's lesson, which is about remaining morally strong and virtuous. Okay, 1. Define natural law. True law is right reason in conformant of eternal, universal, reasonable, cannot be altered. Who was the Roman statesman who tried to teach about natural law? Marcus Tullius Cicero. Give 3 characteristics of natural law. How I skipped that one. Oh, man. Oh, man. Well, we know they're here. We can pick a few. Concept of unalienable rights is based on natural law. Unalienable duties. Limited government. Checks and balances. Right to bear arms, no taxation. There's more than 2. 4. According to Cicero, what do God and man have in common? Right reasoning. That God's law is right reason when understood, and it is wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge applied, actually, from a biblical perspective. 5. What commandments did Cicero enumerate that identify with Christianity? Who was neither Christian nor Jew? To love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. What did Cicero say about bad laws? If it violates natural law, it really isn't a law. 7. According to Cicero, all laws should be measured against natural law. Give 3 examples of natural law in the U.S. Constitution. Right to bear arms, no taxation without representation, unalienable rights. Right, the first principle of liberty. The only reliable basis for sound government and just human relations is natural law. Okay, now we're going on to lesson 4, which is principle 2. Oh, we go up for that. That's right. We go up for that. And this is a really short read today. It's not very long. It's not very long at all. Hi, Asta. I was just thinking about you. Did you get your package? Let's see. I'll turn that off too. Okay. A free people cannot survive under a republic constitution unless they remain virtuous and morally strong. So we'll get through this quickly. This is not too many pages today, and it's good stuff. Real good stuff. Modern Americans have long since forgotten the heated and sometimes violent debates which took place in the 13 colonies between 1775 and 1776 over the issue of morality. For many thousands of Americans, the big question of independence hung precariously on the single slender thread of whether or not the people were sufficiently virtuous and moral to govern themselves. Self-government was generally referred to as republicanism, and it was universally acknowledged that a corrupt and selfish people could never make the principles of republicanism operate successfully. As Franklin wrote, only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters. George Washington later praised the American Constitution as the palladium of human rights, but pointed out that it could only survive so long as there shall remain any virtue in the body of the people. What is public virtue? Morality is identified with the 10 Commandments and obedience to the Creator's mandate for right conduct, but the early Americans identified public virtue as a very special quality of human maturity in character and service closely akin to the Golden Rule, as a modern historian epitomized it. In a republic, however, each man must somehow be persuaded to submerge his personal wants into the greater good of the whole. The willingness of the individual to sacrifice his private interests for the good of the community, such patriotism or love of country, the 18th century termed public virtue. The 18th century mind was thoroughly convinced that a popularly based government cannot be supported without virtue. Self-doubts. The people had an instinctive thirst for independence, but there remained a haunting fear that they might not be good enough to make it work. These self-doubts were actually the eye of the hurricane during those final pre-revolutionary years when Americans were trying to decide whether they had the moral capacity for self-government. Great names of later years were among the doubters in those pre-revolutionary days. John Jay, Robert Morris, Robert Livingston, and even John Dickinson were among them. Their doubts gradually diminished as their patriotic indignation was aroused by the harsh and sometimes brutal policies of the British Crown. They were also moved by the powerful expressions of faith and confidence pouring forth from men of admired virtue, such as John Adams, George Washington, Richard Henry Lee, and Josiah Quincy. Spirits continued to rise so that by the spring of 1776, thousands of confident voices were heard throughout the colonies, affirming that there was sufficient public virtue in the people to make Republican principles work successfully. Thomas Paine. One of the most strident voices in the debate was Thomas Paine, whose Common Sense had been a bestseller. He followed up this initial success with other writings assuring Americans that they were ripe for independence. He pointed out that the most people were industrious, frugal, and honest. He added that few Americans had been corrupted with riches the way people had been debilitated in Europe, where all they wanted was luxury, indolence, amusement, and pleasure. Furthermore, there was a spirit of equality and public virtue unheard of in other nations because the people of America are a people of property. Almost every man is a freeholder. Nevertheless, there were many newspapers in New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and Charleston which printed numerous letters pointing out dramatically and gruesomely the deficiencies of the American society in many serious respects. The self-examination over a period of several years resulted in a remarkable reform movement which spread up and down the entire Atlantic seaboard. The tide of reform. Many Americans became extremely self-conscious about their lack of public virtue because of non-involvement in the affairs of government. They began to acknowledge their obsession with self-interest, the neglect of public affairs, and their disdain for the needs of the community as a whole. Gradually, a spirit of sacrifice and reform became manifest in all 13 colonies. Looking back on that period, one historian wrote, "In the eyes of the Whigs, the 2 or 3 years before the Declaration of Independence always appears to be the great period of the Revolution, the time of the greatest denial and cohesion, when men ceased to exhort and abuse one another, when families and communities seemed peculiarly united, when the courts were wonderfully free of that constant bickering over land and credit that had dominated their colonial life." How the moral reform accelerated the revolution. Many Americans became so impressed with the improvement in the quality of life as a result of the reform movement that they were afraid they might lose it if they did not hurriedly separate from the corrupting influence of British manners. They attributed this corruption to the monarchical aristocracy of England. Even Americans such as John Jay, Robert Morris, and Robert Livingston were beginning to see the people were exhibiting a potential capacity for virtue and morality which would guarantee the success of a free, self-governing society. Therefore, it became popular to express the sentiment that the sooner they became independent, the better. The non-importation resolution of the Continental Congress, which required great sacrifice and devastating losses to many business houses, was carried out extensively, even though it operated on a voluntary basis. It was so successful that John Page wrote to Jefferson that it appeared to him a spirit of public virtue may transcend every private consideration. Young James Madison gloried in the atmosphere of national purpose, saying that a spirit of liberty and patriotism animates all degrees and denominations of men. It was in this climate of reform and commitment that Americans saw themselves sublimating and improving their social conscience to the point where the continuing presence of British manners did indeed seem to be a threat to new reform. As Gordon Wood relates it, by 1776 it had become increasingly evident that if they were to remain the kind of people they wanted to be, they must become free of Britain. The calls for independence thus took on a tone of imperativeness. Only separating from the British monarch and instituting republicanism, it seemed, could realize the social image the Enlightenment had drawn of them. British influence was already taking its toll. One alarmed American wrote, "Elegance, luxury, and effeminacy began to be established." David Ramsay declared that if America had not revolted, our frugality, industry, and simplicity of manners would have been lost in an imitation of British extravagance, idleness, and false refinements. Almost done. The lessons of history. It is only in this historical context that the modern American can appreciate the profound degree of anxiety which the founders expressed concerning the quality of virtue and morality in their descendants. They knew that without these qualities, the Constitution they had written and the Republican system of government which it provided could not be maintained. As James Madison said, "Is there no virtue among us? If there be not, we are in a wretched situation. No theoretical checks, no form of government can render us secure. To suppose that any form of government will secure liberty or happiness without any virtue in the people is a chi- chimerical idea. Oh, chimerical. I wrote down what that is. Imaginary. If there be sufficient virtue and intelligence in the community, it will be exercised in the selection of these men, so that we do not depend upon their virtue or put confidence in our rulers, but in the people who are to choose them. Of course, as Jefferson said, virtue is not hereditary. Virtue has to be earned and it has to be learned. Neither is virtue a permanent quality in human nature. It has to be cultivated, continually exercised from hour to hour and from day to day. The founders looked to the home, the school, and the churches to fuel the fires of virtue from generation to generation. In his farewell address, George Washington declared, "Of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. In vain would that men claim tribute of patriotism who should labor to subvert these great pillars of human happiness, these firmest props of the duties of men and citizens. Let it be simply asked, where is the security for property, for reputation, for life, if the sense of religious obligation desert the oaths which are the instruments of investigation in courts of justice? And let us, with the caution, indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. Whatever may be conceded to the influence of refined education, reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle." Benjamin Franklin stressed the same point and added how precious good teachers are. "I think with you that nothing is of more importance for the public weal than to form and train up youth in wisdom and virtue. Wise and good men are, in my opinion, the strength of the state, more so than the riches or arms. I think also that general virtue is more probably to be expected and obtained from the education of youth than from the exhortations of adult persons, bad habits and vices of the mind being like diseases of the body, more easily prevented in youth than cured in adults, I think. Moreover, that talents for the education of youth are the gift of God, and that he on whom they are bestowed, whenever a way is opened for use of them, is as strongly called as if he heard a voice from heaven." A warning from the founders. At the conclusion of the Revolutionary War, Samuel Adams, who is sometimes called the father of the Revolution, wrote to Richard Henry Lee, "I thank God that I have lived to see my country independent and free. She may long enjoy her independence and freedom if she will. It depends on her virtue." John Adams pointed out why the future of the United States depended upon the level of virtue and morality maintained among the people. He said, "Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." Do you hear that, mockers? Samuel Adams knew the price of American survival under a constitutional form of government when he wrote, "The sum of all is, if we would most truly enjoy the gift of heaven, let us become a virtuous people. Then we both deserve and enjoy it. While on the other hand, if we are universally vicious and debauched in our manners, though the form of our Constitution carries the face of the most exalted freedom, we shall in reality be the most abject slaves." What is the key to preserving a virtuous nation? Since the quality of virtue and morality in the character of a nation is the secret to its survival, one cannot help but wonder if there is some special ingredient which is fundamentally necessary to provide the greatest assurance that these qualities of our national life will be preserved. The founders had an answer to this basic question, which will go into the next principle. I grabbed a couple pages from the other book. I put them down here because I was thinking they were part of the natural law. They're both of these are related. Natural law and religious and morals. People that think that we can govern without religion and morals don't understand ancient principles. They don't understand all the work that the founding fathers did to uh, accumulate a wonderful foundation. And it's not Christian, it's not Judaism, it's not Islam, it's a basis. They were in this little excerpt here that I got from Benjamin. Let me read this from Benjamin Franklin. Several of the founders had left us with a description of their basic religious beliefs, and Benjamin Franklin summarized those which he felt were the fundamental points in all sound religion. Here is my creed. I believe in one God, the creator of the universe, that he governs it by his providence, that he ought to be worshipped, that the most acceptable service we render to him is in doing good to his other children, that the soul of man is immortal and will be treated with justice in another life, respecting its conduct in this. These I take to be the fundamental points in all sound religion. And I just want to read to you the 5 points that they felt were necessary for us to have virtuous leaders in place. These 5 points of fundamental religious beliefs, which are to be found in all of the principal religions of the world, are those expressed or implied in Franklin's statement. 1. Recognition and worship of a creator who made all things. That means you are not God, okay? You have to put yourself off the throne and recognize that someone created you. You are not the creator of all things. That's a really hard step for people today. 2, that the Creator has revealed a moral code of behavior for happy living, which distinguishes right from wrong. 3, that the Creator holds mankind responsible for the way they treat each other. 4, that all mankind live beyond this life. 5, that in the next life, individuals are judged for their conduct in this one. All 5 of these tenets run through practically all of the founders' writings. These are the beliefs which the founders sometimes referred to as the religion of America. And they felt these fundamentals were so important in providing good government and the happiness of mankind, they wanted them taught in the public schools along with morality and knowledge. I did a past stream about the separation of church and state, and that has to do with what's his name? Was it Patrick McHenry that wanted to he proposed a bill for Christianity. And it hurled Madison to write a huge response. And, excuse me. And, anyway, excuse me. That's where you'll hear all this business about a separation of church and state, was because Madison was pushing back on there being a dominant religion in the schools so that we could be respecters of all people and all religions. But let's just get the basic foundation. And most people don't have a problem with the golden rule. They have a problem with loving God because they love themselves more than they love God. And they believe that they are God. That's the problem that we have. And those people that mock my God, I feel sorry for them because they don't know. They don't know how good grace is and how good the love is. It's not, my God is not a punishing God. You know, there are Christians that get it wrong. There are Pharisees in this world. I get it. But, you know, you do yourself a favor to read the gospel yourself. Read the Gospel of John. So, yeah, I guess that's it. We did that. I brought that in. So the next quiz, I don't know if you guys are doing your quizzes. I'm not doing your quizzes for you. I can tell you that right now. If you want to do the quiz, you can. I'm just rereading over it because they gave me an outline this time and they told me to go ahead and, review the study from before. So that's what we did. And they both kind of, go together. And they're both very strong passions of mine. I remember what I was like before I believed in God. And I was pretty icky. And I came to the end of myself. Hey, good to see you, Vex. Good to see you, buddy. I came to the end of myself. So I'm also supposed to take a story from today's political climate and bring it to you as far as, with the lesson. And so interesting that they're talking about religious and morals and this kind of stuff and schools. And what do we have going on in the colleges? The colleges should be like, they should be teaching me this stuff. These kids should have came here. Somebody else should have been doing this. Let me get this going. Not that I mind doing this. I don't mind this, but this is where our colleges are today. This is HSU. These people, this is completely infiltrated. They're calling, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this by now. Even Salty Cracker highlighted Humboldt County on his stream yesterday. Well, congratulations, Humboldt County. You made it to the big time. This is what they're doing in colleges today. The greatest minds, the most expensive schools, they have zero morals, zero virtues, and this is how they treat their school and their community. They're wearing their stupid masks. Look at what they did to the school. This school just became a polytech. It just became a polytech. You think they didn't plan that music in the background? The Breakfast Club theme song? The media here make me sick. They are highlighting the injured student and acting like they're persecuted. They're persecuted. You're going to be, you guys, some of you have already been kicked out. You're never to return. You've given up your education for this. I'm not a big education person. I self-educate. I learn what I want to learn. School was like prison to me. I never even went to high school. Miami Bowl, Archer and Pulaski, 80 lanes, back door, baby. I just can't deal with sitting in school like a prisoner. They try to put me on pills, try to put me on Ritalin. How many kids are on pills so they can sit in school and listen to this garbage that they regurgitate so they can do this? This is what we're doing? Oh, you guys are going to lose all your money. This is one last final roundup. Don't you know? We saved the weakest and the dumbest for last. They're going to round you all up. And it's going to be so sad. The greatest minds, right? They're godless. They mock my God. They mock your God. They think that we're fools. Nobody has a problem with love your neighbor as yourself, typically. I mean, that is not a problem. Hi, Susie. Good to see you. 28 minutes. Oh, good. So, one more thing. Let's see. What else? Now, good community stuff happened this weekend. We had something. I'll show you something positive and great that happened in Humboldt County. I don't know what year it is. I think they've been having Roadie Parade for over 100 years, but I could be wrong. But some of my friends came out for the... I shared with you, too, a video of the pregnancy care mobile sonogram, the womb with a view. That was really cool. Rhododendron Grand Marshal. Look at the ride he's in. So this is Eureka. It was a beautiful sunny day. There's Coast Guard. Love our Coast Guard. Love our military. Love people that serve our country and put other people first. Oh, look at those horsies. I'm really annoyed that I can't ride my horse to town like McKinleyville. Oh, look at that old car. Is that an El Camino? Oh my gosh, look at that baby. Oh, look at that ride. So, yeah, they had some fun. Marching band. I mean, Humboldt County has a great and rich history of community people coming together from all different walks of life, all different churches, non-churches, whatever. We love to come together and celebrate our community. That's true Humboldt County. These imposer posters that are at the university, those aren't even students. Look how long it take them to get there with their signs and their tents, and now they're occupying, and now they've got this trash talk going. And it's not. What a contrast from this, right? What a contrast from this. Hey, kiddo. There's so much to love about Humboldt County. There's so much to love about Humboldt County. And we just really have to stand up to these tyrants because they're ruining it. They're ruining it. And there's a lot of good things happening here. Always. Always. There it is. There is the pregnancy testing and ultrasounds on site. The van that goes around. And, is that Linda? Is that, Lori Gibbs? Alex, or Davis, I mean. Yep. So that was it. That was what was happening over the weekend. We did have some fun. And then, of course, I've just watched the Humboldt media just continue. She's really excited because she's got herself a bunch of big views in her shorts now, but she's turned off the comments. But they're just going back to footage that was, totally paid actors. They're ruining it here for the people. Yeah, this hurled her into way a lot of subscribers now. And so what they're doing is just continuing to play the same reel. Look at this, what they keep playing. Police clash with protesters. Police in riot gear pushed out students. Student hit by riot police. Activist students and community occupy Cal Poly. And they're proud to show this, right? They're no friend to our law enforcement here. They are no friend to the godly people here. Police beat students before the raid. Students react to Cal Poly respond. You know, they're just traitors. These media darlings here make me sick. They are exactly why I have to stream. Because they'll never share our stories. They are not talking about the jab at all. They still have it advertised every day, everywhere, every freaking paper, everywhere. I thought this was illegal in America last January. Wasn't it not authorized? You know, there's a lot of things going on that these people have no idea. They're doing a lot of unauthorized things, and I dare say it just may catch up with you. My friend Star was sick. She went to go see her practitioner over the weekend. She made her examine her in her car, lift up her shirt, showed her breasts in her car, and then tried to talk her into taking the vaccine twice. She knows Star ain't taking the vaccine. This is our healthcare here. And the city council is taking over and modified the Lanternman Act, and they're getting their hands all. They've delegated a mental health worker. You're going to let criminals be in charge of the homeless people and people that don't have family here. They can't stand up for themselves. They are locking people up already and drugging them. Who knows what they're doing to them? It really concerns me, and it should concern all of us. I've had family members that needed healthcare. I'm terrified. What if we end up having to go to the hospital? We've got to stand up, you guys. They're not stopping. They use all the media. They use all these agencies, and they come after us when we stand up. I get it, but so what? We still got to. They never did anything. They can't do anything. The Humboldt Human Rights Commission tried to come out after all of us talking about hate speech. They have nothing. They have nothing. We have God. All they want to do is talk about, well, we were bleeding, and then they did this, and then they did that. Look at their headline, injured Cal Poly. Cal Poly yelled, go home. I mean, this is helping us unite? No, all you want to do is be shock jocks and divide our community. Shame on you. Shame on you. Y'all make me sick. They report nothing good. They report nothing good. It's just sad. I watched this incredible video. I feel like I'm going to come back and share something with you guys that um, I couldn't help but feel like this is America right now. The worst shipwreck I've ever heard of in my life, I watched this weekend, was the SS Arctic, or the Arctic SS. You guys ever hear of that? I'm obsessed with shipwreck stories now and ghost ships. I read about the Mary Celeste. That is a creepy story. What happened to them? Um, let's see, SS Arctic. Oh, SS Arctic. Did I say Atlantic? Terrible disaster of the SS Arctic. This was the worst story I'd ever heard in my life. And then, but really what got me going about it, I really do want to come back and share it. It's not a great, positive, uplifting story, but it's, you know what it's like? It's like America right now. We're sinking, and we need to see what, how doing our role and manning our post, how important it is. There's one man on here that I really wanted to focus in on when I do get to share this with you guys. And he was a young man who he was put in charge of manning the cannonball to try to get help. And the thing is, towards the end of it, he did that job to the very last. And he told that captain, when the captain said, "Just walk away, son," he said, "No, Captain, I want it to be known at least one person stood by your side and manned his post." This is a crazy story. I would like to come back and share it with you and then talk about America, because I just feel like it's so relevant. What happened after this ship started to go down. Nobody was listening to the captain. Everybody was off doing their own thing, and it was a horrible disaster. This whole thing was terrible. But I'll drop it anyway if you don't want to come back and watch it. I don't know when I'll get to stream that, but it was just a very, very intense story, and made me feel, I felt like I was compelled to share it and talk about America with it, because it's so, just keep in mind, them turn political theater and all starts to make sense. Yeah, they are so coordinated. Everything is so, did you see the signs that they came out on the East Coast? Those perfectly made signs. Did you ever think we would see college students supporting the PLO in our day and Hamas? That's when you know they're not educated enough. That's when you know they're not studying enough. So, all right, I'm out of here. I don't know if I'll get to do that story again later, which is why I dropped it. But if you wanted to see it, it's incredible. And actually, this guy's channel is one of my new favorites to just kind of watch history. I love history. I love ships, and this guy's pretty cool. Maybe some of you guys have already seen him, but he does a lot on the White Star Line and some other ones, and just helped me to get my mind off things. But then when I watched that one, I'm like, oh no, this is just like America. So anyway, you guys, let's see, what do I got? Let me see if I got my little book here. Let's see. Follow his orders to resist the enemy. Yes, yes, yes. People want to do their own orders. I get it. I don't. I have a post. I'm manning my post. I have a job to do. I'm trying to do my job. We all have different roles, right? We all have different roles. So I'm really don't want to be judging other people for their roles. I hope that they're doing what they can to help our country right now. So I'll just read this little devotional. This is what I got. Follow his orders to resist the enemy. Lord, help me to abhor what is evil and cling to what is good. Romans 12:9. Help me to neither resist you nor give place to the devil. Ephesians 4:27. I became yours the day I received you as Lord over my life, and therefore I cannot be controlled by the enemy in any way. Help me to resist all lies of the enemy and not allow him to convince me that I am disqualified in any way from being the powerful prayer warrior you have called me to be. I will not let the enemy threaten me with my past or make me discontent where I am now or what I have not yet done. You are the rock on which I stand. In Jesus' name I pray. And Who is God except the Lord? And who is rock except our God? It is God who arms me with strength and makes my ways perfect. Amen. I know that's right. I know that's right. I don't know if I'll see you guys later. I feel horrible. I might like to just go back to bed all day. But we got through it. Thank you so much for being here. I love y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.